I do presentations for everyone here. I'm very happy to be interrupted if you have questions. I don't mind that at all. I mean, to me, that's one of the big benefits of doing them live is that you can get answers if something comes up. Otherwise, like you can just watch recordings. So if you want to put questions in the chat, if you want to come on video and ask, that is more than okay with me. Interrupt at any time. And I'm very happy to answer anything that you have. I mean, if it's something that's going to like take too long to answer and we won't be able to finish, then what I'll do is I'll just say like, let's set up a time after and I can answer it then. But as long as it kind of fits within the rough time that we have, we'll go through and do that. But today the goal is to talk about building a digital marketing strategy that actually works. So what I'm trying to get across today with this is to kind of show you the framework that you can use to actually build out a strategy that works for you. Because for some people, you know, there's one strategy that will work and then someone else, there isn't, like that same method won't work for them and they'd want to do something else. It'd be like, if you're going more in the offline old school, it'd be like some people did really good farming, some people built a really good business cold calling. But then when we're looking at an overarching strategy, what are the commonalities across them and how do you actually evaluate how it will work with you? And that's what we're going to work on today. Because when I sold, I did a little bit of everything. Like when I started at the brokerage I was at, it was a very old school brokerage. Now this was 10 plus years ago, but even being over 10 years ago, like they still had a typewriter in the office and a fax machine, which even then was starting to be dated. And I remember my first day, I went into the broker's office and basically I came from construction. I had no idea about anything and kind of just gave me here's the phone book, start at A. By the way, if you're ever going to do that move, start at D because everyone's given up by then. Like people in A's get a million calls from everyone who starts in the business trying that. But almost no one makes the D. So that's a fresh group of people who've never been cold called before. But I tried a lot. Like I tried cold calling, door knocking, and a lot of all that. Like I was thousands of doors, thousands of cold calls. Those never really worked out. Though I did get a deal in the second house I door knocked, and I thought this was going to be the easiest business. So I was like, I'm a 50% rate here. And that ended up being almost the last deal I ever got door knocking. So it did not end up working for me. But what did start working for me is I was blogging a lot. I was doing Facebook ads and really engaging heavily on social and leading into like the content side of things. And I grew my business pretty well. And then one of the big brands ended up recruiting me to travel North America, training their agents on how to do the same. And this is also back when like e-signatures were just becoming legal. And so then I was also kind of teaching them how to grow their business digitally while also teaching how to go paperless. But then every time I trained, people said, could you do this for us? So we started a digital marketing agency that helps agents kind of do all of this stuff. And what's been really great about that is now I get to spend a lot of time every day with top producers and see how they build their business and then how to even improve it more. So everything we're going to talk about today is stuff that we know works actively in Canada today because we're doing it with people. So none of this is just like theory. It's stuff that's tested and we're running it with top producers or we've worked with top producers running stuff in here. And what's really important about that is I both love and hate the saying success leaves clues. And one of the reasons I hate it is I think a lot of people misinterpret it in that a lot will come and just pick and say, like, okay, I see this top producer doing this. I want to do that too. And the problem with that is that where someone is now, you can't always replicate it. Like one of my favorite examples is when I first started my marketing agency. What happened was we had this team that was doing about 500 deals a year and came to me and was like, Andrew, if we're going to work with you, we need exclusivity because anytime we do anything online within like 2 weeks, everybody locally copies what we're doing. And he's like, it's without fail, no matter what we do online, people copy us. But what was amazing to me was like the next sentence was, but nothing we've done online has ever actually worked for us before. So here is everyone's just assuming because they're the top person, they know what they're doing. What had worked for him when he started out and what was working for him now were also very different. But someone starting out should not be copying what he's doing now. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I love billboards if you're a big team. If you're doing 20 deals or less, I wouldn't even bother with billboards personally. What you want to do, like if you're looking at like a team doing 100, 200, 300 deals a year and you want to get your business there, you can't look at what they're doing today. You have to look at what they were doing back then. Because that's what's like, one of the women who works for me, using another example, is a singer on the side. And she's trying to, make it big as kind of like a pop star type career. And when we're kind of, sometimes we'll chat marketing for her music, and we're like, well, you can't copy what Beyonce does today. All she has to do is say she has an album and she goes platinum. You'd have to go back to what she was doing back then when she was nobody. And that's the clues you want to go back and look at. And that's what we built a marketing framework around the clues we were seeing of like, what do they all have in common and what's worked for them? And that's where we ended up developing what we call the Wheelhouse marketing framework, which basically we grouped all the things that kind of make a successful marketing strategy into 6 pieces. And the reason we have it as a wheel instead of like a funnel is that different parts will impact others. So it's not like a straight start here and go down. Like, for example, and I'll explain more as we dive into it, like the trust side of it impacts all the different spokes here. So we're going to walk you through each section and show you, okay, here's all the different pieces you need in your marketing strategy to get consistent results. And what the goal for you will be is like when you're looking at it, and I'll give you a PDF you can fill out at the end to make it more simple, is which ones do you already have something in? And you'll quickly be able to see the gaps. Like we were working with this one woman in Toronto and we were filling this out for her. And what we realized is she had some really great systems in her marketing for everything but the convert stage. So all she was missing was, let's build out the conversion side of your marketing platform, and then it can really start moving along. So when you're going through, start thinking about which ones do you have stuff in, which do you don't, and now you know where to plug in the gaps. And you can also then, when you hear new ideas, have a better idea of where that's going to fit in your business. So the first section is the discover section. So this is pretty simple. How do people discover that you exist who don't know that you exist already? And there's, again, very simple thing here. Like the most common way you'll see in the business, obviously, is referrals. And there's quite a few different ways. So I'm not going to dive deep into referrals today. But obviously, this is kind of the ideal way for people to find you. And one thing I've always kind of noticed about referrals too is most people have a big referral based business. The thing that they have is it's very passive, right? Like they're not necessarily doing things actively to generate referrals. It's more like, yeah, they kind of happen when they happen. So it's one of those things where if you can start being more intentional about it, you can start growing more. But when you want to get discovered, that's one. Online, this is where content really comes into play for a lot of people, is using content to get people to discover who you are. So when you're thinking of creating content, we generally look at, we want it to either entertain people, educate people, or inform them about something. In an ideal world, every piece of content that goes out has 2 of the 3 there. I like always having the entertain as one of the 3, and then either education or informing with the other side of what I'm doing. We'll put out the odd content that's solely entertain. But this is the stuff that really works. Like if you can get someone to smile with your content, that goes a long way. And you'll probably hear a lot of people use the term like you got to provide value with your content. And I find that often gets misinterpreted as like you got to provide them something that'll like make them money today. But there's value in just making someone smile, right? Like if they have good feelings about you, there's value to that. So don't overthink the you have to provide value stuff. It's just your value to their day could be a smile for them. So that's where sometimes there's certain types of content that work well. I like to create what we call pillar content and then kind of base the rest around that. So pillar content for like my business, I host a show called Over a Pint, where I basically interview people in real estate over a pint of beer. And basically we get drunk together on camera and talk about real estate. Works for me, works for my brand. The other nice thing about that is it repels people that might not be a good fit with us. Like when I launched the first episode, it was funny. We had someone who was like, oh, you're just promoting alcoholism. I never want to do business with you. I'm like, great. Now we didn't have to waste time going through a sales process with someone who wouldn't be a good fit with us. But then it attracts way more people who are really kind of like fun to have a beer with. And we get a lot of people that way. Like if I went back to real estate sales today, instead of sales for what I'm doing now, I would just do over a pint with local business owners instead of real estate people. And it's a really good tool for getting discovered because you bring people on. Like one thing I always say about a show, and especially in the real estate world, if you're doing one for your community, don't worry too much if people watch it or listen to it. It becomes a networking tool. So this is something that can give you time with people locally who are busy. So like almost the CEO of like almost every real estate brand in Canada, I've been able to get on the show and get a couple hours over beer with them because I had a show. Whereas like getting someone to come on a show with you or just to hang out with you for a couple hours over a beer is a lot harder. Like for example, I got to have beers with John D. Michelle, the CEO of Treb, through the show, where normally if I was just like, hey John, let's go grab a beer, and he didn't know who I was, there's no chance that's happening. But when he can get some promo out of it as well, then you're potentially able to do that. So look for those opportunities to leverage something like this to get to spend time with someone you want to spend time with. And it's a really good tool for networking, and then they're more likely to also put you out, and you can leverage their built-in group of people who know them because they're going to promote it to their network. More people discover that you exist. If you do a lot of business, listings, easiest way to get discovered. I use this example because I kind of followed it a little bit with this listing that Stefan had, where he got a ton of leads, ton of people found out about what he was doing through it because there's like a gorgeous cottage, good price, brought in a ton of income. But listings, easiest way to get discovered, but obviously not everyone has listings. Like especially with listings where you always hear like you have to list to last, you got to leverage listings. When you're looking at like the wheelhouse framework, the 6 different areas, there's ways to leverage listings for every single one. So if you're a team doing, 50 plus deals a year, you got a couple listings every month coming out, this, like, you can almost do your entire marketing just leveraging listings and using that to bring in more clients. But if you're brand new, like when I started, I think it was 8 months to get my first listing. Like I did a couple buys and different things like that, but I didn't have listings to leverage early on until I figured out you needed them, and just started borrowing them from people in my office until I got my own. So I'd start using other people in my office's listings to market. I always ask them permission. I recommend doing that, even if it's checked permission to advertise. It just makes things smoother. But figuring out ways to leverage listings to get in front of the right people. So that's one there. Direct mail is actually a surprisingly good way. Actually, one of the ones that I've noticed. So yes, direct mail works. Talking to a lot of top producers, the random mail of physical thing that seems to consistently get the most is people who consistently, and I mean like you do this for years and years and years consistently, notepads that people can write like their shopping list on. Like, for example, like there's a guy in Brampton where like if you ever read one of those like top 10 signs you live in Brampton things, like his notepad being delivered to your house is one of those signs you grew up in Brampton, is like about his grocery list that he sends out. There's an agent in Waterloo. I was actually just going through it yesterday. There's an entire Reddit fan club to her notepads. And she's become like a mini Reddit celebrity where everyone talks about getting one of her notepads. Like it's such a random thing, but everyone uses them. Like you go around grocery stores in those areas where someone does it. Like where I was selling in Aurora, I can't even tell you how many people I see use the specific team's notepads, and everyone and like they got up to number 2 in town using these. Like it's a random little thing that can work really well. They just have to be consistent about it. Another way to get discovered is memes. Memes are incredibly powerful for getting discovered by the right people. And I like to use the Brokerage Agent as an example, because you as realtors attracting consumers should never share broke agent memes on your profile. There's also like Actually Agents who also does memes. These are great for like sharing with other realtors and having a laugh about it. But don't share this with consumers. What you would want to do, like say you're following the Brokerage Agent who does put out some pretty funny memes sometimes for realtors, is look at what they're put out and be like, how could I repurpose that locally? So how could I take, like, if you live in Oshawa, like, how could I take something like this and make it about Oshawa? The reason memes work so well when you make it towards a niche audience is the people who see it are going to share it with that same type of person. So an agent generally will only want to share this to other agents. So the broker agents whose goal is to meet more agents, it's great because it gets shared to more agents. Those agents see it, then come and like their content, and they discover them. So if you take it like, if I was selling, again, I'm in new markets. If I was selling a new market, I would look at what's a way I could do a new market spin on different memes, because anyone who likes that, they're only going to share it with people from new market because that's who would get it, which brings more new market people specifically to my content. So use like sites like this, if you follow them, as inspiration to create your own. But also you never feel like you have to get involved in memes in your marketing. It's a very niche thing, it has to fit with your branding. But if you do, only do the ones that your ideal audience would actually want to see, because that'll push it out to that ideal group. So look for that opportunity to put out something like that. And then once they've discovered that you exist, you want to move them into the conversation stage. So this is actually getting to start talking to them. This is probably one of my favorite parts of social media, is that they've discovered you exist. Then they come and they can actually talk to you here in a really easy way. The easiest way on social to get conversations is just ask a lot of questions. And if you're looking at, like, let's take Instagram as example, stories is probably the most effective way to get conversations going and get clients out of it. Like almost everyone I know who gets consistent business from Instagram goes much harder on the story side of things. And the reason for that is if you have a feed post, any comments and questions and like conversations that happen there are very public, people are less likely to share that much in public comments. But when they reply to your story, it opens up a private conversation in the DMs that now you can continue that conversation. And people are much more forthcoming with stuff that they're doing. So we look at how can we ask questions. And there's a big sales trainer named Phil Jones, and I love the way that he words it. And it's like questions create conversations, conversations create relationships, relationships create opportunities, opportunities create sales. But it all starts with asking a lot of questions. So on your organic social, look for opportunities to ask questions that get people to engage with you. And what, like, some of the easy ones to do here would be things like a roll call. So this would be like, I use an example for new market of like, who else thinks that the town should do something with that damn pothole on Main Street, right? Like everyone in new market knows about it right away. Let's jump in and actually fix it. And the goal here with the questions I would ask in like a roll call is to get local people. One mistake I see a lot of agents make is they follow all the agents in their office, they engage with all the other agents that they know, and then their entire social following just and engagement becomes other agents instead of the community. And the problem with Instagram, for example, is that it pushes your content out mostly to your last 50 interactions. So who's in your last 50 is a gross oversimplification of the algorithm, but essentially the best way to think about it is who's the last 50 people you interacted with? That's the likely next 50 people who will see your content. So if you're trying to get homeowners in Oshawa to engage with you and your last 50 engagements are other agents, it's other agents who are going to see your next one. So you use things that a local person that's a homeowner would engage with. So when you do put out something promotional, they're the ones who will see it. And I did get a private message here. Do stories work for someone who has, say, 100 followers compared to, say, 1,000? Yes, absolutely. It depends on the quality of those followers, though. So like, is it 100 local people, or is it, did you go to university 2 provinces over and your 100 followers are people you went to school with who aren't going to be doing business where you are? Is it just 100 people from your office or 100 consumers, right? Like that does matter a lot. So when you're saying like, do I have 100 followers? Are they 100 good followers, or are they not the right type of people who do business with you? So audit who you have. Like I know a lot of agents who have 20,000 followers that actually get no business from Instagram. And I know a bunch that have 1,000 followers and make 6 figures a year off their Instagram. It's about the quality of the followers that you have. If you want to increase followers, easiest way to do that is engage a lot, but on other people's accounts too. So for me, like if you have limited time on social, like I would rather you put out 3 posts a week but then spend half an hour a day engaging with other people's accounts. Like that type of engagement will bring people in and you can start building relationships off it. Like in an ideal world, you're posting daily on your accounts. But if you are limited for time, I would bring that down and focus that time on engaging with other people and creating relationships and on that side of it. But it is important to have both. But yeah, I'll get to how to engage. And I have a couple of slides in a couple of seconds that I'll walk through kind of a plan daily for engagement. But there's some interesting ways to do it. And when we're talking about having conversations, one that I always like to stress is that when we're trying to create conversations, it's not always conversations that have to be with you. It's creating scenarios where people will have our conversations about you as well. Obviously, you want those conversations about you to be done in a positive light. So I'll give you an example here. We had a broker, actually this bottle here, you see, if you actually look closely at the bottle, it's etched with the Nicholas Kuzmich edition. So Nicholas is a guy who is like one of the top Facebook ads guy in the world. Like I think he starts at 20,000 a month to manage your Facebook ads. So the people he's like doing like Tony Robbins type of ads and stuff like that. Anyways, he's like 30,000 for an hour to come and speak. And he, just because I knew him, came and spoke for free at one of my events. So as a thank you, I sent him a bottle of Johnny Walker, laser etched with his name on it. And what he immediately did is he got it, he posted it on social. I was like, this is the coolest gift I've ever gotten, yada, yada, yada. But what it did is it created a lot of conversations about me. And then another one, I sent a similar bottle to a broker who had sent me a bunch of referrals one time. And for the next 6 months, every week I got a call from someone at his brokerage, because what happened is I'd go in, see the gift and be like, that's really cool. Where'd you get that? They'd start talking about me. And then they'd realize, oh, that's someone that I'd want to talk to for my business. And yeah, weekly calls for the first 6 months, we sent the bottle out to them. It was a really effective one. So what we were doing is creating scenarios where people would have conversations about it that would involve me. Because if I just threw my logo on that bottle, then what would happen is they'd know where they got it. They wouldn't ask them questions. They'd be like, oh, you got a bottle with a vendor's name on it. Because it had their name on it, people ask them about it. Like, where'd you get that? That's cool. And then it has those conversations. So you also want to look at, when you're doing things like, would what I'm doing create conversations in our community about what we're doing? Like, could you create almost like what we call like water cooler moments in an office where people will want to like brag about something that you did or talk about what you're doing? Because I get this question a lot. For bottles like this, it's not expensive, by the way. Like it's $25 to get a bottle laser etch. So you just got to buy the bottle, and then laser etches, generally you just Google laser etcher near me, and there will be companies that do it. It's like $25 to get it laser etched on something. So really effective way to get it out there and put it in front of people. So now, because this answers the question, if you want to start engaging with other people, there's a lot of speakers. I think Gary Vee was like the biggest to popularize the 5-5-5 rule. I added +1 to it just to be difficult. But basically the idea here is every day on social, you got to do this 5 times. You got to like 5 posts. You got to leave 5 comments. And when I say leave 5 comments, I mean comments, not like dropping a fire emoji in the comment section. A fire emoji is the same thing as just liking the post. We call them what we call significant comments. That means it has like 4 to 5 words minimum. And ideally, this is where you bring in a question. Is you ask them a question to get a response. You want to be in those last 50 interactions that someone has, because then you're more likely to see each other's content going forward. So every day, leave 5 significant comments. My recommendation is those 5 comments all have a question mark at the end. And it doesn't have to be real estate themed. I think that's a misconception people have. You're allowed to have interests outside of real estate, and it's actually encouraged on social. So simple one, like, you know, people always make fun of people, oh, you're just posting your food from a restaurant. You can just respond to like a post that someone put like their dinner at a restaurant, be like, hey, what'd you think of that place? Been meaning to check it out. Right? Like super simple, super easy. And then you can have those conversations with them. So 5 comments a day. The last one is 5 DMs. So that means every day you DM 5 people. This also counts if you're doing like replying to someone's stories, that goes into their DMs. But again, it's that same idea of like just reacting to their story with a fire emoji does not count. You have to actually leave a reply, and again, ideally a question, but do this every single day, 5 times for each of them. 5 likes, 5 comments, 5 DMs or story replies. The +1 is just what I would say is like next week, try 666, the week after 777, the week after that, 888. until you find a reasonable limit for you. I've had people who've gone to 666, been like, nope, that's too much of my time. Let's go back to 555. I've had people who've gotten up to like 20, because that's how much time they had to devote to something like this. But if you consistently do this every day, you will start increasing your followers and increasing the relationships that you have with people online. Because the biggest thing about social is a lot of people create a one-way relationship where it's like they put out content and then wait for people to engage with it. Whereas if you lead the way with engagement, they're now more likely to engage with your stuff, because now they also know if they engage with you, they're going to get a reply. A lot of people will like stop engaging with other people's content if they're not being replied to on it. So engage with everything you can, and that'll bring so much more to you. Like I'd say 80% of your time on social should be actively engaging with other people's content, not your own. Unless you have, crazy engagement, it just takes you that much time to respond to everyone, but most people aren't there on social. So that's a separate problem to have if you get to that level. But most people aren't there. So 555+1, really effective way to manage your social. Now, they've started having conversations with you, and this next section, how do you get them to join your database? This is the biggest gap that we see most people have when they start getting traction on social media, is how do I take a follower into a client? And I find this now, especially with like 20-year-olds coming into the industry, your following list on Facebook, Instagram, any other platform, that's not a database. That's not a replacement for a CRM. You have to take them off Instagram and off whatever platform you have them on and into your CRM. And I've seen this so many times over the years with agents, because we've worked with a lot. I get a lot of them who come to me thinking we can help them with Facebook or Instagram because we do so much business with them. That it's not uncommon for an agent to get kicked off the platform and lose access to it. Like, does it happen every day? No, but I have seen it enough. Like, I've seen people with like 10,000 followers who lost their accounts and they couldn't get it back. And if they didn't have a CRM with those people moved over to, they've lost all that work. Social platforms are a rented audience. You're renting that space. Your CRM you own, you bring them in there, you own that database now. So we want to look for opportunities to get them to join your database. The first thing I always recommend is always have something to invite someone to. So this could be, maybe you're doing regular workshops, maybe like first-time buyer seminars as an example, investing seminars, but you always have something. And this could be as simple as, I have a free home value offer that I will always have to invite someone to take me up on. But you need to have something at a moment's notice that anytime you start talking to someone about real estate, you have something to offer them as that next step. Because the call to action of, yeah, if you're ever thinking of buying, selling, investing, renting, or whatever, call me, I'll be there. That doesn't really work to get people long-term to jump into what you're doing. So you want to have something to invite them to. So for example, one of the easiest ways to do that is what we call a Sage lead magnet. So for example, the one on the right there you see is a guide on how to get your home ready for sale. Anyone's thinking of selling? Great. Here's a guide that'll help you. You can walk through your home, check stuff off as you get it ready for sale. So when you're looking at how to create a lead magnet, we use the term SAGE. It's an acronym. So one, it should be short. Nobody wants an 80-page ebook from someone they don't know. If I have the roadmap to buying a home that's 80 pages long, no one's reading that. It's not really going to help you that much. But short, if it's like 2 pages on a checklist on how to get your home ready for sale and they can walk through their house, super simple. It's short. It's actionable. So it helps them take action on something specific. Goal oriented, and those actions they're taking works them towards a goal. And then the E is for easy to consume. So you want it to be something very simple for them to get. That's how we build out lead magnets. So for example, the home prep guide, it's about 3 pages long. There's specific actions to take on how to get their home ready, and that works them towards the goal of getting their home ready for sale like a professional would. And it's easy to consume because they can just print out the PDF and check things off as they go through their house and get it ready. So when you're looking at creating something to have these types of lead magnets, super easy. Like everyone today can go create a lead magnet. Like anyone who's been in the business more than like 6 months to a year can give any homeowner 3 things they can go do today that'll make their home worth more money. And when we say worth more money, it doesn't have to be a lot, right? Like if it increases the value $500, great. That's enough here for what a lead magnet can do, right? So like as simple as like 3 things to go home and do today that'll get you more for your house. Go put that into a PDF and offer to people. You'd be surprised at how many people are willing to give their contact information for something that simple. The other one is, I mean, you can do forced registration. So like this is if people are looking on your website, you force them to register to see the details about it. I'm not personally a big fan of that. One of the reasons I'm not a big fan personally is like half the leads you get are going to be like f@fu.com or different things like that, which nobody really wants to deal with that. Like if you built your business cold calling and now you're trying to find something online that'll work for you, forced registration similar because it's like a slightly improved version of cold calling, but it's still that kind of, it often starts the conversations from a place of negativity. So one thing we've started trying with a lot of top producers is what we call the listing update system, where we were looking at, you know what, getting people to register on a listing is great, but how can we change the perception from a negative to something on the more positive side? And that's where we came up with a listing update system, which is register for updates on the property. So it's like, hey, we got this listing coming out, register for updates, and we'll send you the photos when the photographer gets them to us. We'll send you the link to the listing when it's live. We'll even send you the sold price when it sells. Now people are thanking you every time they register, because now that's like, oh, that's amazing. I'm going to stay up to date and know what's going on with my neighbor's house or the house that I'm interested in, but maybe I'm not ready yet to move. Now, when you follow up with them, be like, hey, I saw you registered for updates. Just wanted to make sure the first email came in, didn't end up in your spam. And now most of the conversations are starting around thanking you for what you're doing for them instead of being like, screw you, I just wanted to see the price. And that's a much nicer conversation to have. And if you're someone who's never going to pick up the phone and follow up with the lead, even if you're paying for them, which happens more than you'd think, you don't have to call these leads because they're registering for updates. You can do it all over email if you want. Your conversion rate will always be better, obviously, if you actually pick up the phone. But this is a system that can work without picking up the phone. Another thing that we found works really well for sending out updates is newsletters that don't suck. Most newsletters, to be honest, they suck. Like most consumers don't need 7 more tips to winterize their home or a pumpkin pie recipe or a reminder to change their clocks. Like most part, people don't need that. I'm also not a huge fan of those like pre-built 12-month drip campaigns that are like, it's the same content. So if you sign up today and then you sign up a month from now, you just get put into a different 12-month sequence. I'm not a big fan of those. I like timely, fresh content. So there's 2 ways we recommend doing that for what we call newsletters that don't suck. We might trademark that, why not? It sounds catchy. But basically the 2 types of newsletters that don't suck, we like. One, this one has to be you doing it. Then the other one I'm going to give you is one that you can outsource to admin or a third party. So the first one is Market Insights. And when I say that, I do not mean like take the stats from your board and put them out. Take the stats from your board and then offer your insight on what that means for your clients, right? So that's the part that's most important there. So you can either take the stats, tell them what you think it means and how it impacts them, or you can even go more granular than that and be like, here's what's sold in the last week in our area. Here's what that means for you. Or here's some new listings on the market that came up in the last week. Like you can do it as simple as here's the deal of the week and why I think it's a deal. So it's not just here's the deal of the week, here's a photo of a listing, click here to learn more. It's here's why I think it's a deal. You want to take that opportunity to give them insight they can't get anywhere else. Super simple to do. If you don't have time to do that every week, but you have like an admin who could have 2 hours, we do what we call the link roundup. And that's kind of like a little bit of an example of what you can see there on the screen. And that is you give them what's going on in the community, maybe some new listings, some new solds. If you have new content that's out, you can promote it, but you do like 1 to 3 sentences, a link for them to learn more about what it is. 1 to 3 sentences, a link to learn more. And it's a very skimmable email that provides a lot of value. One little, and we'll call it a hack, that I found that has really helped open rates and people liking us more is what started originally as Puppy of the Week is we just throw a picture of a puppy at the bottom of every email. And what we find is that even people who aren't interested that week always open the email because they just want to see the puppy. Like I'll go to conferences and people bring up the puppy all the time of like, I love you. Like even when I'm not interested in your emails, I just open to go down and see the puppy. it's a great way to stay in front of people and not have them be annoyed that you're in your inbox, because worst case, they're going to go see a cute puppy in their inbox. Feel free to steal the puppy of the week idea if you want. For us, that's more shifted now to cute baby animal of the week. It's not, we don't stick exclusively to puppies. We've tried good news. So like when we did this, especially during COVID, good news for a bit started going into like, hey, here's good vaccine news. That turned really quick. So then we pivoted back to just cute animals, because then negative feedback was coming in on the vaccine where it started out really positive. So it was pretty interesting to watch how that's evolved over time, sharing like good news stories. And we just found cute animals of the week works really well. But we found that even if they don't open it or like read it, they're still checking out the cute animals, and you get a lot of good faith where like we send this out weekly, and sending this out weekly is one of the best things that ever happened to our business. And it's something I can always invite someone to, of like, hey, we have this great thing that can keep you up to date on what's going on in social media marketing. Or if you're an agent, it's like, here's a great thing that'll keep you up to date on what's going on in our community. And it's not all real estate. Then, so you have them in your database. Now you need a separate thing to convert them into clients. And this is one also where we see a lot of people who don't have the systems in place to get people into clients once they're in the database. And I hear about the speed to lead dilemma a lot, where it's like, I remember when I got in the industry 10 years plus years ago, it was like, you have to get to every lead within the first 30 minutes. And then it became 15 minutes, and then 10 minutes, and then 5 minutes, and then 2 minutes. And I think now the best practice, you got to get to every lead within 30 seconds. And that's exhausting. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like it's such a pain when every speaker is like, you get to every lead in 30 seconds. I think everyone gets stressed, like, I'm not getting the leads quick enough. I'm not getting the leads quick enough. And then I heard the story, and I was like, a lot of stuff clicked for me. And it was the Houston airport. They had a ton of complaints about, we're waiting too long for our bags at the baggage carousel. And they tried everything they could to speed up the process from getting bags from the carousel or from the plane to the carousel. They were able to cut the time in half to get the bag from the plane to the carousel. The number of complaints didn't change. Like they cut it in half, and not a single percent point changed on the amount of complaints they were getting. Then someone came up with a new strategy, and they got rid of almost 100% of complaints. And it was actually really simple. They made the walk from the plane to the baggage carousel twice as long. That's it. So that long ass walk you do at all these airports has nothing to do with you have to walk that far. It's to shut you up so you stop complaining about waiting for your bag. That's 90% of the time, the long walks. That's all it is. And that reminded me of lead gen. Is everyone's like, we got to get there quicker. We got to get there quicker. But what if when someone opts in, you give them something to do? So that the reason the complaint stopped is because they're walking from the plane to the baggage carousel. They feel like they're taking action and they're in control of what's going on. So let's take that same idea, apply it to lead gen. Because what happens when most people generate a lead? They say, like, someone opts in on a form online. It says, thanks, someone on our team will be in touch soon. But what if you now gave them a next step right there on the page? So someone reaches out about a listing. The form says, thanks, a member of our team will be in touch about this listing. Instead, you can be like, we'll be in touch, but do you need to sell your current home to buy this one? Click here, answer a few questions, and we'll send you a report on the value of your home. Then when they opt into that, be like, great, we're going to send that CMA into your inbox shortly as we get the comparable sales together for you. Would you like a copy of our guide on how to get your home ready for sale? It'll detail everything you need to know. They can download that. And now we're giving them these steps to take that have value, instead of just saying, great, we'll be in touch when we're ready. We're now giving them things to do that, one, builds trust with them, with you, but also gives you some breathing room to get to them. So you don't have to like drop a client meeting to go call them or something like that, right? Like we want to give them those next steps. Like the other analogy I often use is dating. It's like a lot of people don't like their conversion process. If you applied it to a dating scenario, would be terrible. It'd be like going up, meeting someone in a bar and be like, hey, I'm Andrew. What's your name? And they're like, hey, I'm Sarah. And be like, great, I'll be in touch. And then you walk away. Like maybe ask if you can sit down or buy them a drink or continue that conversation right there. Most people, their lead conversion system, as soon as they kind of get their contact information, then it's a waiting game. You want to have those next steps built in. And what you're looking for in that conversion process is what Dean Jackson is a great marketer. If you don't know him, you should look him up. What he calls a 5-star lead. So you're trying to uncover in those leads you're getting and who's in your database, people who are one, willing to engage. They're friendly and cooperative when they do it. They know what they want. They know when they want it, and they want your help to do it. So as you're going through your follow-up, you're essentially trying to check off people who match all 5, and those are the people to give most of your time and attention to. And then be curious about their situation. One of the things that helped my sales conversions the most was when I was talking to someone who gave me like the best closing line I've ever had. And it's basically it works almost every time I use it. It's because of what you told me, here's what we should do next. But you can never say that until you've learned about their situation enough that you can actually say the line, because of what you told me, here's what we should do next. So when you get someone on the phone or you're texting with them, you want to ask enough questions and be curious about their specific situation so you can start saying, because of what you told me, here's what you should do next. What you're trying to accomplish is you're trying to get people to feel like you truly get them as a person. Even if you've dealt with someone like them a million times and you know their exact situation, they still feel like they're unique and they have a different thing. Everyone's a unicorn. You want to be able to show them that you get the situation and that you can help them. The best way to do it is ask a lot of questions about their situation and then help them out. Then you start giving them regular content, because one of the things with leads is like there's leads now and then there's people who aren't ready now. There's only 2 types of leads, now and not now. Because people will tell you, I might not be moving for 12 months. If you've been in the business more than a couple of years, I guarantee you've had someone who said, I'm not going to move for 2 years. Then 3 months later, you found out they bought a house. People's plans change. So they're either moving now or not now. So that initial follow-up is to find the now people. And then we put everyone else into our regular content. For me, my recommendation is a weekly newsletter, which some people say is too much. But the joke in the email marketing circles, which is a weird circle to be in, is only send emails on days you want to make money. Emails are still the highest ROI thing online. You just got to do them better. We like to drip regular, fresh content out to people that keeps you top of mind. And we put in some soft closes into it that just gets them to reach out when they're ready. And then we use a tool called Calendly. There's a lot of scheduling softwares. I just like Calendly the best, where in everything we do, we have an opportunity for people to book calls directly into our calendar. But what I also now started using, I got this tip from someone in a mastermind I was in, and I loved it, which was when you sign up for Calendly as a default, it's like 15-minute meeting, 30-minute meeting, 60-minute meeting. Well, we can change that and name them. So for example, what I did is I just made one called Sales Call. I did one free Facebook ad review. I even created one for Pick My Brains. You get a lot of people reach out being like, I just want to pick your brain. Like I think it took me about a year into my real estate career and I started getting fairly regular. Hey, could I just pick your brain about getting into real estate? I've been thinking about getting my license. Great one where you can pick it, put it in there, and then you can even limit how often those get booked or how soon in advance they get booked. And what we're done with some of our real estate clients is we've set up like buyer consult, listing consult, quick chat about selling your home, quick chat about buying a home, chat about, investing in real estate, a real estate portfolio review, where we'll analyze your real estate portfolio and tell you if you could improve it or not. But now you're letting them get to a page to book a call, select the type of call that tells you what type of client they're going to be, which makes for a nicer call when you actually have it. And then it can also segment them into your database. Then you still have to earn their trust. This is the one section that goes into the most of the other ones. How-to content is perfect for this. So like, here's an example of one that I did for my business, where it's like how to certify compliance on a real estate Facebook ad. Because years ago, if you didn't certify compliance, they wouldn't let you run. This was before housing categories. So I just shot a quick video showing someone how to do that step by step. And when anytime, an agent was Googling how to do this and they were frustrated, they got the video, 28,000 views, and it took me 10 minutes to put together. Brought in a lot of clients. So like when you're thinking of what would frustrations that people have be, put it in there. So like when I was selling, this was when bully offers were first starting to become popular. Like HGTV was talking about them a lot. So I created a blog post, what is a bully offer? And we were bringing 500 to 1,000 people a week to our site because of that post. So we're looking at like, what would someone type into Google that they need an answer to quickly? And we just give them the answer in our content. Then you can turn that into video, blog, however it's better for you. But that type of how-to content of how to do this, how to do that, how to do this builds a ton of trust with people. And you can then give that out when someone's reaching out to you as an extra added value piece. Testimonials are also really important. I personally go with either Google reviews or Rank My Agent. There's a lot of other services too. Just those are my two preferred ones to go with. Like Rank My Agent, I think they do have a free plan, but you might have to pay for it. Whereas like Google reviews are free and it helps your SEO. So one of the other, but put them all into one and get as many reviews. My preference is not reviews that just say something simple like Andrew was great. You want them to put specific numbers. So it'd be like it's so much better if you have a review that's like, hey, Andrew came and listed our home. Their team came in, they staged it, they took photos, yada, yada, yada. We had like 37 showings in the first 24 hours. They got 6 offers and we actually got 50,000 more than we thought possible. The way to get reviews like that is when you ask for the review, bullet point the type of things you want them to bring up. And I just frame it as, I know sometimes when people are writing reviews, they get writer's block and don't know what to say. So here's some things about the sale to remind you that you might want to write about just to make your life a little bit easier. So you're framing it as you're helping them write the review and avoid writer's block. And you're also telling them what you want in. Don't write the review for them though, because if Google analyzes all your reviews and their like AI determines they're all written by the same person, they will start like blocking your reviews, which you don't want. But let them write it, but just give them that little extra guidance on how to write it. And then I'm also a big fan. I don't like traditional just sold that's like, hey, sold in 3 days for 100,000 over asking. And if you go to consumer like forums, they also just like mercilessly rip agents for doing this. So we like to flip them into case studies. And that's where we tell the story of the sale from the perspective of the seller. So we'll be like, hey, John and Sarah just sold their home. And they came to us because Sarah was pregnant. And they're both working from home now, so they needed a bigger house both for home offices and for the nursery they have coming up. So they called us in, we came over, we did this and this to get the home ready for sale. Then we had our team come in and take photos and video. We got floor plans done, and then we got it on the market. We launched our marketing plan, and we got 30 showings in the first 2 days, which resulted in 7 offers, and they got 50,000 more than they even thought possible, which they've been able to use to build that perfect nursery for their daughter who's coming. I'm so excited for them. If you want to get similar results in the sale of your home, reach out to us here. That is a way more effective post than we just sold this in 3 days for 100,000 over asking. But with case studies, you have to be careful because you're sharing your client's information. So before you ever write a case study, step 1, ask your client if it's okay and which details they'd be okay sharing. Like, can you use their first names? Can you use their full names? Would they rather their names not be used at all? And you're just saying a couple came to us. After you write it, even though you already have the permission, send it to them to get their permission again, just to make sure they're comfortable with what you wrote. Because no singular case study is worth ruining a past client relationship. So always make sure they're involved in the process and they're happy what's going out. And obviously use your discretion. Not every reason behind a home sale is a pretty nice reason. Like if it's like, hey, John's been cheating on Sarah and they're going through a nasty divorce, you're not putting that in the case study. You're just saying, I had clients come to me because they had to sell their home. And here's how that worked out. And if you're struggling writing case studies, this is a perfect use case for ChatGPT. Just go on, bullet point the story of the sale, and then say, task, write a story-based case study about the sale of this home. And it'll do 90% of the work for you. So it's a really quick way to get case studies out that actually work pretty well. Another way to earn trust is borrow someone else's trust. You see this all the time, like Barbara Corcoran or like Scott McGillivray, which does take a big budget to get people like them. But you don't necessarily need to go like big like someone that. You can use locals, right? So collaborate with like a local mortgage broker. If they have an audience, they've been around for a while, borrow their trust that they have with their people. Collaborate with local businesses. You can borrow the trust they have with their audience. If you want still go the celebrity endorsement route, go on cameo.com, and for way less than like the 10,000+ a Scott McGillivray type will charge, you can spend like $200 and get someone from the office to say that you're their favorite agent. Like I saw an agent in Aurelia who got Ice Cube from the set of his show to say that they're their favorite agent and the person they would use every time they came to buy in Aurelia. which, let's be honest, we know Ice Cube's never bought a place in Aurelian and might not even know where it is. But if you want, like, there's a lot of opportunities out there now through a service like Cameo where you can get celebrities for a lot cheaper. Just not all of them are willing to film endorsements. And the last section, loyalty. So how do you get those people who've done business with you to stay with you long term, come back to you, and refer you clients? Client events, highly recommend. I like to do 4 per year is my goal. So Q1, we like to do a big event. So this would be like, renting a movie theater, running a skating rink, but doing something that everyone can come out to and have a good time. Q2, I like to go smaller. And this, my recommendation is, depending again, your audience, family photos. And this doesn't have to, like, just run a photographer, get a park, and invite everyone out, and they're going to get a fresh new family photo every year. People love that. They put it up in their home, and every year they get a fresh professional family photo. I guarantee if a local agent did that, my wife would use them for the rest of her life because she just loves professional family photos being taken every year, and she'll go out of her way to pay for it. And if an agent offered to do that, she would love it. So do that every year. Set up. It's not that expensive to rent a photographer for a day, for the amount of goodwill you build with it. And then Q3, we like to do more of like a social event. So maybe it's, there's a new brewery opening in town. Invite your clients to it. Say you either got the first round or the apps, but you're just going out for more of a social thing. I've also seen clients do like billiard tournaments. I also like to add in a charity angle. So it's like, say we're doing the renting a movie theater thing. It's like, you can all come. Your cost of admission is a donation to the food bank. And then you also get to support something local that's important and show you're part of the community. Then you want to orchestrate referrals. So this is what I was talking about before, where a lot of referrals happen by accident. So like some of the things I love to do is send emails out that are like, take everyone who lives in an area that you have a buyer looking in, email them and say, hey, client name, I have a client looking for a home in your neighborhood, but nothing on the market's working for them right now. Have you heard of any neighbors thinking of moving recently? Just don't ask them if they're thinking of moving, because it becomes like more of a pressure thing for them. But just have you heard of any neighbors thinking of moving? Keeps you top of mind. Once in a while can bring out a referral. But worst case, it shows to your past clients that you're still working for your people and that you're going out of your way to try and help. Don't send that out too often. Like, each of your past clients should get at most 1 to 3 of these a year, and never lie about having a buyer. I've seen agents just do that thing where it's like, hey, I have a buyer for your area. And they're like, well, let's list it on MLS and we'll be able to find one for you. We have lots of them through MLS. Like, don't do anything like that. Like, if you say you have a buyer, you actually have a buyer. If you don't, I like just to do thinking of you emails. So this will be like, hey, I saw this and thought of you, and send it to them. So like, think about what their interests are. Like my brother, for example, is really into mountain biking. So if I saw a mountain biking or like a new track opened up near him, I'd be like, hey, I saw this and thought you might find it interesting, and flip it over to them. Right? Just a quick thinking of you. Here's something I saw, thought you might find it interesting. Every agent should do this, is an annual CMA for their past clients on the anniversary. So don't just send like a happy house anniversary. That is just like a congrats, it's been another year you lived in the home. Tell them what the home's worth now. So we just be like, hey, since you bought the home a year ago, the market's up 5%. That means your home is now worth this. Here's what your options are now. You can, keep paying it down, pull some out to do this, pull some out to do that. And if you've done anything in the last year to raise or lower the value of your home, just let me know. And I'm happy to like update, like swing by sometime when I'm in the neighborhood and give you an update on what your home would sell for. A very easy thing to do that clients love, because they love to get an up-to-date value on their home every year. And sometimes it gives people an idea to move. So think about how that fits into the client life cycle, and it can keep going. So like, for example, you work with a first-time buyer, they go through this, and then they might discover investing in real estate. Then they go through it from the investment side of things. And you just kind of keep turning it over. And it basically, like you're saying, works like a wheel. So like, here's an example how I fill it out often. Just like I put some ideas into each one, and then I look at where I might have a gap. So like, often I find when I fill this out with people, and if you want your own to fill out, if you scan the QR code, this doesn't go to like an opt-in page. It just goes straight to like a Google Drive of the PDF. Print it out, or it's a fillable PDF on your computer, but just type in what you have in each of the 6 already. And 90% of the time we find that it just becomes glaringly obvious which ones you have gaps on, because most people will have like 1 or 2 that there's almost nothing in it. Now, that's where I have to go and start filling it out. That's where I have my gaps. And now when you're at a conference or you're on a webinar and someone comes out with this idea for you to do, you can quickly come to this sheet and be like, where would this fit in? Is it something that will actually help my business? It's also great if you're working with a vendor or you're hiring an admin to help you with your marketing, to get them on page really quick with how you market your business and how to get them to understand how things are going on. So I find this helps a lot. I know we're coming up like right on the hour now. So I'm happy to stick around and answer any questions you guys have. But I'll stop sharing my screen here. And again, yeah, if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Happy to do it. Otherwise, appreciate you guys coming and listening to me today. If there's any questions, otherwise.
So far, a quiet bunch. Thanks, Andrew. I know we had you on our Facebook Live as well. So you had a whole bunch of agents over there too. I'm just checking if there's any questions on the Facebook.
Good.
I don't think so, but
easy.
Thank you. That was awesome material. I think you gave lots of our agents tons of ideas. So hopefully, Percy Fulton agents, you can try to at least implement, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 videos or ideas, just implement something. And yeah, thanks. Appreciate your time so much.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.